The Champions League quarter-final is upon us, man. I cannot wait. For me, this is when the competition really starts to get interesting. Because I know the Champions League is good and all, and it's the premier competition in Europe. But everyone knows once you get to the knockout stages, real big things start happening. And you can fluke your way into the last 16, but you don't really fluke your way into the quarterfinals. And there are some tasty ties. As always, I'll be predicting and previewing all of the fixtures, giving my honest opinion on who I believe is going to go to the semi-finals and then on to the final, because we have got the path mapped out, the road to the final in Istanbul this year. And I'll also, of course, be streaming my reaction on both nights, Tuesday and Wednesday. Of course, starting from tomorrow, my main highlight game tomorrow will be Man City versus Bayern Munich, and Wednesday it will be Real Madrid versus Chelsea. But of course, we'll be talking about all of the Champions League matches, and I cannot wait. Afternoon, True Gunner, welcome into the live stream, my friend. Let me know your predictions as well regarding the Champions League. So let's get into it. The first game I'm going to talk about is Benfica versus Inter Milan. For me, out of all the games, this is the one I care the least about. No disrespect to Inter Milan or AC Milan. AC Milan. No disrespect to Benfica or Inter Milan fans. It's just not that interesting game for me, to be completely honest. I think Benfica go through here. I really do, because I look at Inter Milan and their form has been shocking recently in Serie A. They have struggled to pick up points at all, really. They're losing games they really shouldn't lose to. Their fans protested when they lost to Spezia in Serie A. They're really struggling recently. They've had a bit of like some fights going on. I know Lukaku got a red card, everything in a recent match for them as well. I genuinely think Benfica can go through here. Benfica, despite only being in the Portuguese league, they're a very decent side. Very decent side indeed. I think they've got a lot of quality around them. They've got a well-established squad. They've got veterans in there, the likes of Otamendi, for example. I give Benfica the benefit of the doubt here, and I think over two legs, the first leg being at home, I can see Benfica going through to semi-final. They did the same last year, didn't quite get to semi-final, but they played really well in the Champions League. Of course, they fell to Liverpool, but it's one of those things. I think Benfica got a good chance in. Trugan agrees with me as he says Benfica going through. I 100% see that, my friend. Okay. I think over two legs, I think the first leg, Benfica, I think they win 3-1 at home against Inter Milan. Then in the second leg, I think they draw 1-1. So I think overall Benfica goes through. Game 2, this for me is the pick of the bunch. Manchester City versus Bayern Munich. Also tomorrow, 8 p.m. I cannot wait for that fixture. What a game that is going to be. Man City, of course, they've started to click. In the Premier League, it's started to happen for them. We know Pep Guardiola has been tinkering with his squad. He plays Rico Lewis. He plays Bernardo Silva left back. Carl Walker right back maybe. Now he seems to establish himself a team. A team that he's actually starting to pick consistently. And the main thing you say is, once you pick a team consistently, you're going to get consistent results. You can't expect consistent results if you're not picking the same team week out, week in, week out. And he's starting to do that now. 4 centre-backs is a crazy decision, but it's starting to work for them. He has John Stones slotting into midfield next to Rodri. That's a really good partnership in there. And then it lets Gundogan, De Bruyne, Mahrez, Jack Grealish express themselves going forward. Then they've got, of course, that robot up front. Haaland, Trugan's going in with, say, Munich going through. I'm not too sure, man, because on the other side, you've got Bayern Munich. Now, however good Bayern Munich are doing in their own league, I know they've actually had a bit of, like, strange form where it's been win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. I think, honestly, Bayern Munich can never count them out in Europe. We saw them against PSG. PSG, I know they do terrible in Europe, but that's a good side. They've got some real killers up front, PSG. But Bayern Munich dispatched of them really well. Really well. Kept a clean sheet as well. Really good performance from Bayern Munich over those two legs. And I think they're a team you cannot count out in Europe whatsoever. They're a team that's really solid, Bayern Munich. Like, they're not going to just sit there and get rolled over. They're a really good-looking team. And I think, look, they might not have the quality Man City have got, especially nowadays, because Choupo-Moting up front is a liability for me. I don't think he's anywhere near the quality of Haaland in any stretch of the imagination. So they're going to need to account for that by having a really good team performance. But I don't think it's a team you can really count out. No matter how good a team Bayern Munich play, they always seem to turn up, especially in Europe, and they always seem to get results. For me, I think over the two legs, I think Man City will go through, if I'm being genuinely honest. But I would not be surprised if Bayern Munich do pull through. I think the first leg will be a really good one. I think it's going to end 3-1 to Man City. And I think away from home, I think Bayern Munich win 2-0, but Man City win in extra time. That's my opinion. I think it really could go either way. I just give the benefit of the doubt to Man City this season because they've got that X factor Haaland up front. And although I don't necessarily believe he's going to do well for Man City over a 38-game season, I think he's going to cost them at times because he doesn't have enough team-oriented play to him. And Man City actually forcing the ball through Haaland. I think the Champions League in a one-off game when you're just looking to win that football match, Haaland is that guy you need, and I think he's going to do enough here. He's been in the league before, so he knows all about Bayern Munich. Consequently, you can say that Bayern Munich know all about him as well. But I genuinely do think in those two matches, Haaland will be the difference, and Man City go through. The next game, Real Madrid versus Chelsea. I mean, you're looking at it and you're thinking, this should be the easiest tie for Real Madrid. They must be laughing, thinking, we've got Chelsea, they've got Frank Lampard in the job right now. They can't pick up a win for nothing. They've got a negative goal difference. They're 11th or 12th in the Premier League. You're sitting there thinking, how is it going to be anything other than a Real Madrid victory? How is it going to be anything other than that? It's looking so straightforward for them. But Chelsea are a team that turns up in Europe. I don't know what it is. I don't know what kind of mentality they've got at football club, but they always seem to turn up in Europe. The season they won the Champions League the first time under Roberto Di Matteo, they finished something like 10th in the Premier League. Like, it was shockingly bad. That squad was not amazing. They had Fernando Torres, who was one of their biggest flop signings for Chelsea. Yet they still found a way to win that Champions League in 2012. Even the season they won it with Tuchel, Man City were a better team than them in the final. They came against Real Madrid, but they found a way to get through them. Real Madrid-Chelsea just seem to match up every season in the Champions League. It's crazy. Honestly, I think Real Madrid will go through because Chelsea just have no confidence. Even against Borussia Dortmund, they lost 1-0 away from home. I thought they played really well in that leg away from home. In Dortmund, they couldn't quite find a way to win that game. And then at home, they won 2-0. And honestly, they should have won by more goals. Chelsea are really good between the boxes, but as soon as the ball goes anywhere near the penalty box, they struggle. They get nosebleeds. They can't seem to finish it. And I think against Real Madrid, they need to be really clinical. And I can't see Chelsea having a clinical edge. And on the other side of it, Chelsea look really bad at the back. Like, they leak goals for fun. It's terrible how bad they leak goals. It's schoolboy defending at times. And I just think against Real Madrid, if you're going to get through them, you have to be perfect, near perfect in both boxes. And Chelsea do not possess that. So for me, I do think Real Madrid will go through here. I think at home, in that leg, I think Real Madrid are going to be solid. I think they're going to go through pretty calm. 2-0, 3-0 victory. Then away from home, I think they're going to wrap it up and maybe get a draw or something at Stamford Bridge. And just, you know what I mean, just efficiently go through, take care of business and go through to the semi-finals. Then the final quarter-final leg before I move on to the semi-finals. Milan versus Napoli. I mean, I'm wearing my AC Milan shirt. Just came back from Milan on holiday. Rafael Leao on the back. I'm a big fan of that guy. But I do think Napoli will have this one. Recently, they played each other. And AC Milan beat Napoli 4-0 in a very recent match. It only happened last week. And a part of me thinks AC Milan in Europe, it is their thing. I just spoke about how Chelsea can do something in Europe. Equally, Real Madrid, we know, are a massive European side. They've won the most Champions League. AC Milan have won 7 Champions Leagues. They're second all-time behind Real Madrid in total Champions League trophies. They are a good European side, AC Milan. And we know Napoli have already locked up the Serie A, basically. They're going to win it. The thing with AC Milan is this Europe can be their fighting thing. It can be the final thing they fight for. Against Tottenham, I didn't think they were amazing, to be completely honest. And I think they got lucky that they played a Tottenham side that I really lack confidence. But genuinely, you go through to this next round, Milan versus Napoli. Napoli already know they're going to win Serie A. They're going to be as fighting for the Champions League. Who knows? Trugano says Forza Napoli. And to be fair, it's going to be a massive match. I'm so annoyed that the Champions League play both games at 8 p.m. I wish I did one at 5:45 and one at 8. Just so I could watch, because I'd really want to watch Milan-Napoli. And of course, Real Madrid-Chelsea. I really want to see my boy Kvaratskhelia, or how he spell it, Kvara and Osimhen. What a dynamic duo them two are. And they really could turn up here. The first game is at the San Siro in Milan. I think it's going to be a massive first match. Massive first match. I think if Milan win that first leg, they can go to Naples and they can have a bit of a siege mentality and lock it up. I think if Napoli win that first leg into the San Siro, it gives them a world of confidence going into that second leg. Honestly, it's a tough one to call. This, for me, is one of the tougher ones to call. I'm going to give it to Napoli based on their Serie A performances, and I've seen them as a really good side. But genuinely, if Milan get through, I would not be surprised whatsoever. I mean, Trugano, you got to be really happy, man. Like, Italian, you got 3 clubs in the Champions League quarterfinal. Must be delighted for you, man. Di Lorenzo as well. What a baller. Alright, so the semi-finals now. Now, the way UEFA did it, yeah, I don't know if they rigged it or not, but they made it so beautiful because one bracket is way harder than the other bracket. You're looking at the side where Real Madrid-Chelsea, the winner of that plays Man City Bayern Munich. It is crazy how they've set that up. So for me, I've got Man City and I've got Real Madrid to get through. Who do I think gets to the final? It's a repeat of last year's semi-final. Well, I think it genuinely is Man City getting through to the final. Genuinely. Real Madrid, Man City in the semi-final. I think Man City go through to the final. I really do think that. Because you're looking at it, Man City lost last season to Real Madrid in the semi-final. They did. Real Madrid are still an amazing Champions League side. Amazing. No matter how good or bad they are in La Liga, they turn up in the Champions League. They've got killers in that squad. Benzema, Vinicius Jr., Modric, Kroos. You're talking about killers, assassins in that Real Madrid squad. And they took care of business with Liverpool easily. I mean, we saw Arsenal yesterday at Anfield. Anfield's not an easy place to go whatsoever. Arsenal showed that. The best team in the Premier League. Real Madrid went to Anfield, they went 2-0 down, and they cleaned up at Anfield. It was like men against boys, honestly. And we know that Real Madrid are that side, but in that semi-final, which I'm predicting Real Madrid versus Man City, of course it could be different. I think Man City beat Real Madrid because they've been there before. They played Real Madrid before, and they were this close. They were this close to getting through to the final. If it wasn't for Rodrigo having the performance of a lifetime and scoring twice in like 2 minutes to send the game to extra time, and of course to Benzema with a penalty in extra time at the Bernabeu to send the game through to send Benzema through to the final, and to send Real Madrid through to the final. Man City are this close to reaching Champions League final. I think Pep Guardiola is an intelligent man. He's a man that would have learned his lesson. The players would have tasted defeat at the hands of Real Madrid already and would really be sitting there with a bit between their teeth, with a little bit of anger, a little bit of aggression, saying, look, we can't taste defeat again. So I genuinely think if it's Man City, Real Madrid in that semi-final, Man City go through to the final. Feel free to disagree. And honestly, I would not be surprised if Real Madrid go through. It's one of the very tight ones to call, but I just look at it and go, Man City they've got a bit between their teeth now. They've got that X factor in Haaland. They've got that little, just extra little quality that they can take them over the edge. And genuinely, I think Man City, good odds to get to the final this year. They are the bookies' favourite. For me, they've rarely ever been my favourite. Never have I ever said Man City going to win the Champions League. Even when they were in the final with Chelsea, I came out and I said Chelsea going to win that Champions League final. Because Chelsea are a European powerhouse. They know how to win in one-off games. Man City haven't shown they've got the quality in Europe or the tactical nous in Europe to win one-off games. But now I just think with Haaland, extra X factor, that little bit of it's just been building for Man City. Like, it's been brewing. The case of Pep Guardiola's never won a Champions League without Messi. Man City never won a Champions League. They're brought in Haaland, the best striker on planet Earth. When's it going to come? It seems it's now or never. It's building and building and building. And I think this season may be the season. So for me, over 2 legs, Man City go through to the final. On the other side, for me, you've got Benfica versus Napoli in that semi-final. And honestly, if it gets there, I think Napoli do walk this one. I think either Napoli or Milan, if Benfica's in that semi-final, I think Napoli or Milan get through to the final. Either one. It's really, really friendly draw for those 3 Italian teams. Whatever happens, well, okay, it's not. But whatever happens, the Italian team is guaranteed to be in that semi-final. And an Italian team could be in the final. Like, genuinely. And Napoli, I think they deserve to be in that Champions League final. What if Napoli reached a Champions League final and win Serie A? What a season for them, by the way. Unbelievable. Kvara, what a baller. I've called it from days, man. The Georgian international. I remember when he was at Ruben Kazan and Fabrizio Romano first spoke about him. I watched his highlights and I thought, this guy's good. He's a really good baller. Hi, Jordan. Welcome in, my friend. You know your predictions as well regarding the Champions League. What a baller. And the thing I love about Kvara is his play style. He's not someone that's going to stand there and try and do skill moves all day and try and do rainbow flicks and elasticos and reverse elasticos. He's just someone that body feints and shifts the ball so smart. He reminds me of Mitoma. Them two, very similar. Nothing like they're going to do step overs for days and just skill you up and do, you know what I mean, like Cruyff turns, all that. They literally just stand, they run at pace, direct footballers, and they body feint and shift the ball so smart and so smoothly. What a baller he is. Osimhen's coming into his own. We'll see if he has a move in the summer. I mean, it feels a shame to say he deserves a move because Napoli are top of Serie A and they potentially could get to the final Champions League. They're looking like a massive football club, but he's someone that really needs to test himself in the likes of the Premier League, I think, Osimhen. I think Manchester United should really be looking at him as a potential striker for them. Him through the middle, he's a nice, athletic strike. He's got a frame to him. He can put his body about. He's fast. I think he's a really good potential up-and-coming striker for Manchester United. Real Madrid going through, Jordan says, potentially, but I just give him Man City the edge. Something in my gut tells me Man City are going to get through to the final this year. I don't know what it is. But yeah, so Napoli versus Benfica in that semi-final. Benfica, they've come a long way. I think they will get past Inter Milan due to their experience, but I think Napoli will be one step harder. Napoli is just a cream above. They're a team above Inter Milan right now in terms of quality. I can't really see Benfica laying a glove on Napoli, to be completely honest. So yeah, I think Napoli go through, and that means the final in Istanbul, and Jordan agrees with me, Napoli going through as well. The final in Istanbul of this year's Champions League, 2023 Champions League, would be Manchester City versus Napoli, in my eyes. What a final, by the way. That would be a really brilliant final to watch. Two teams that have not won the Champions League in years. I know Man City have never won it. I'm not sure. Have Napoli won the Champions League either? I don't think they have won it either. So it'd be a first-time winner for one of these teams. And I think in the final, if it's Man City or Napoli, I think Man City win the Champions League. Genuinely, I do. I think if it's Man City, Napoli in the final, I think Man City win the Champions League. They've just got that extra experience, man. I think the only way Man City don't win the Champions League final is if they came up against Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, potentially AC Milan. They need to come up against a team that's got more experience than them, because then they will crumble, I think. I genuinely think Man City will crumble in the final if they come up against a team that's been there and done it before. I think the only way they win the Champions League final, Man City, is if they come up against a team like Napoli that has not won it before. Because no matter how much quality Napoli have got, Man City have got more quality. Man City, in terms of quality, are one of the best around. So it's really going to be a crazy matchup. But I think in that final, if it goes as I'm predicting, Man City win the Champions League. They win the elusive competition that has evaded them their whole history. I hope they don't win it, of course. I don't want Man City to ever win the Champions League, but if it's the way it goes, they are going to win it. And congratulations to them if they do so. I hope they never win it, because what I want to happen to Man City is what's happened to Arsenal, where they get past this stage where they've got all the money and all this and whatever. And I want in 10, 20 years' time, when Man City fall off a little bit, for people to go, oh, but you never won the Champions League. Because that's what everyone says about Arsenal. Every time I bring up Arsenal, they go, you never won the Champions League, though. Like, in all our glory years, we never managed to win that Champions League. And it still haunts me, the 2006 final, but it's one of those things. Man City, if they get through to the final, it's a really good opportunity for them this year to win that Champions League. Bayern Munich 3-1 to Manchester City, potentially. But I think Man City have got something about them. I don't think Man City will get beaten that bad. I think if Man City do go out, Man City will go out and it will be a 1-goal difference. They won't go out slapped 3-1, 4-1, anything like that. Because Man City are that good. They're that good. I can see them going out, but if they do go out to Real Madrid, to Bayern Munich, to Chelsea even in that semi-final, I think they'll go out to a really slim scoreline where they will just be nicked by it. Like, they would have just got one extra goal, maybe an extra time potentially, and it would have just sent Man City home. I can't see Man City really getting pummeled by another team, to be completely honest. Real Madrid 4-0 Chelsea, that's a possibility. And it seems, how much energy do Real Madrid exert? Do they go to the Bernabeu and then do they try and wrap this up in one leg? Which genuinely they could do so. Genuinely, they can go to the Bernabeu here on Wednesday and wrap this game up in one leg and completely take them to the cleaners and call it a day. They've got the quality. Because if they win 4-0, the tie is over. Then they're not going to rest players, obviously, because it's the Champions League. But then they can then go to Stamford Bridge and sit back and see what Chelsea can do. Because Chelsea look toothless. And it'll be funny watching Chelsea try and attack against Real Madrid who sit back. Because Chelsea can't attack anyway. Like, they're really good between the lines, but as soon as the ball goes anywhere near the box, they struggle. They struggle, man. They're toothless. They're like a lion with no teeth. Like, they have no type of quality going into that final third to try and score. So I think if Real Madrid do wrap this up in one leg, I can see them going through. But Real Madrid also a team you never want to count out. Never count out. I remember, now I wish I live streamed the watch along to Real Madrid Liverpool, because I was watching at university with my friend who's a Liverpool fan. And when they went 2-0 up, he was hitting the ceiling. He was screaming so loud when Liverpool went 2-0 up against Real Madrid. And I sat there and I said to him, I said, look, brother, if there's one team you're not safe at 2-0 up against, it's Real Madrid. You're not safe. So trust me, you can be shouting and anything, but this game ain't over. And lo and behold, they won 5-2. And I said, no one's going to believe me, but I genuinely said, when it went 2-0, I said, look, you're not safe. Real Madrid, you're never safe in the Champions League. They could come back and win this game 5-2. I said it in a jokey way, but it's funny how it came true, because I low-key just believed it. Real Madrid are just that team. Just like yesterday, Arsenal being 2-0 up at Anfield, I was never too going away with it. I was never too excited, because I said, it's Anfield. If Liverpool get even a sniff of danger, a sniff of some kind of weakness with Arsenal, they will capitalise. And that's Real Madrid. If they smell any type of weakness in that other team, even if they're 2-0 down, 3-0 down, they're never out of it. They will find a way back into that football match. They will claw, and by hook or by crook, they will get through in the Champions League. They're just that team. It's never an easy tie. But Chelsea, equally, they're a team that can do bits. 2 seasons ago, they beat Real Madrid in the Champions League. Last season, they lost to them. Anything can happen with that football team. Napoli 2-2 Milan. That's a decent prediction. I think that's a really good prediction. I think it sums up how both teams are actually quite evenly matched in Europe. You've got a team in Milan who 7 Champions Leagues to their belt already. Really good European side. Against Napoli, who really good in the Serie A this season, but quite novices in the Champions League and never seem to go far in that competition. So I think it comes up in a case of experience versus youth tenacity and quality, and which one pays off. I think it'll be a really tight one. But I think overall, I think Napoli just got the extra quality to get through. But I wouldn't be surprised if Milan do. And if Milan get through there, Milan go through to the final. And Milan in the final, look, a team that's won the Champions League 7 times. I don't care how good their team is right now. They've won the Champions League 7 times before. They've got some players in there that's got some experience, the likes of Olivier Giroud, for example. Are you going to count against them? Would you count against Milan in the Champions League final? Because I wouldn't. I would not count against a team that's won it 7 times. No way would I do that. So genuinely, really good ties that I'm looking forward to in the Champions League. Of course, we'll be streaming my reaction to both ties starting tomorrow, 10 p.m. I will be here to live stream my reaction to Man City versus Bayern Munich. And of course, we'll be talking a bit about Benfica, Inter Milan as well. Cannot wait for it. What a couple of games it will be on Tuesday, and what another couple of games it will be on Wednesday. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. I'm going to end by saying my final predictions once more. I believe Inter Milan will beat Benfica. I believe Manchester City will beat Bayern Munich. I believe Real Madrid will beat Chelsea. I believe Napoli will beat Milan. And then in the semi-finals, I believe Man City will beat Real Madrid. I expect Napoli to beat Benfica. And in the final, I expect Manchester City to beat Napoli to win the Champions League final 2023 in Istanbul. That's my prediction. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Let me know your predictions as well in the comments. If you're watching this as a video after the live stream is done, make sure you subscribe down below and come here, same place, 10 p.m. tomorrow English time, for my reaction to Manchester City versus Bayern Munich as a live stream. I cannot wait for it. What a game it will be. I've been my football. I appreciate you all for tuning in. I hope to see you all in my next one. Take care.